What's going on, guys? We are live here again. This is our next blab. We're going to be here with Prince. Prince just recently completed a fix and flip deal. What a lot of people don't know is Prince and I, we actually started with the same mentor. So we actually got started around the same time. Even though we're across the country, we became friends, and we've been working on things together a little bit, just networking back and forth and going from there. So if you guys are watching the replay or you're new to the kingdom, my name's Todd. I am an entrepreneur investor from Northeast Ohio. I am primarily in the Northeast Ohio market. My business partner, my partner in crime here is Jordan. He's the bald serial killer looking badass. Jordan, why don't you tell him where you're from, what you do?
Hey guys, Jordan Payne. I am a entrepreneur from Montana, tiny town. I primarily am buying and holding. 12, 18 months into it, I've been growing a really big portfolio, and kind of my little tagline is we've grown a company over 7 figures in about 12 to 18 months using none of our own money. So that's kind of what I've been preaching lately.
Which is awesome. Can't argue that.
Love it. I love it.
We're gonna dive right in. We're gonna talk to Prince a little bit. Prince, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself? Let us know where you're at, how you got started, what your mindset is, anything you want to tell, get out there about you. You go ahead.
My name is Prince. I'm here in the Dallas Metroplex area. Probably, honestly, like late 2014, I saw that Nick had dropped a book on the Secret Entourage, and that's kind of how I heard about him, was on Instagram.
Who's Nick? Tell everybody who Nick is.
Yeah, so basically Nick Ruiz is the guy that works real estate out of Milwaukee. And basically what he does is a bunch of fix and flips. He has a couple of rentals from the last time I spoke to him, from what I know of. And he's out there getting it, man. He's a true hustler. He's a good mentor. Somebody you should follow at Alpha Home Flipping. So
for sure, I totally agree. So a little bit more about how Prince and I got hooked up. So a couple of years back, like Prince mentioned, I was just getting into the game as well. I just started heavy into wholesaling because it was zero risk. It didn't take any money to get into it, which is, I think, something popular for a lot of the people in not only my area, but around the United States, around the world, really, that are looking to get into real estate with not a ton of money in their pocket to begin with. And I actually ran across Nick. I highly endorse Secret Entourage. If anybody watching or listening has never heard of Secret Entourage, I'd highly recommend giving them a follow. And Nick is one of the teachers on there. So Nick has some different videos and teachings, and I learned from him. And then after you get your first deal done, Nick does something cool that you end up speaking with him over Skype, and he teaches you a few more things hands-on, and teaches you how to scale the business a little bit. And that's how Prince and I ended up getting linked up a little bit. So he did his first deal and I did my first deal. And then we had a couple different situations where one of us was struggling. So we'd reach out to the other one, give him some pointers, and then it ended up working out, like just tweaking everybody's game a little bit. So Prince and I have become friends since then. But we want to talk a little bit further about what made you get into real estate in general. Was it the idea of wholesaling? Was it the idea of freedom? Did you hate your job? But what made you even think about real estate in the first place?
Well, for me, since 2012, I was at the car dealership. Right after I graduated, I jumped right into the car dealership, and I think we spoke about that a little bit when we first started talking.
Yeah.
The thing about it, man, is the money was great. I was killing it. I was killing the game fresh. But man, I was just like, this is way too many hours. So I started just kind of branching out because I kind of saved up a little nest egg in the bank, and I was like, man, something has to do something with this, because everybody at the dealership always has a side hustle. I mean, whether you're trying to move up into finance or whether you're just doing some other stuff there to build capital. Anyways, so it was ironic, man. It was between real estate and stocks, and I went to Instagram, all the motivational quotes and Secret Entourage, and I seen Nick posted quite a bit, and I went to his page, and he was talking about, you can flip houses with like no money out of pocket or something like that, with no credit. And I was like, okay, this is fake, this is BS. So I could have put him to the side. And then when he dropped his book, I was just like, well, it's $14. I mean, while I'm waiting for customers, I'll just sit there and read it. And that's kind of how I got started, man. And I was just chugging on. I kept on trucking, and 6 months after I got the book, I got my deal.
Hey, Prince, how old are you, man?
I'm only 22, man.
Oh,
yeah,
Just a baby. Just a baby.
exactly. It's the light beard that makes me look fresh.
What's awesome is that you've paid exactly $14 for your knowledge and to get started. So we at the Kingdom, we really preach that you don't have to spend $100,000 to learn, what you want to do within real estate. There's a lot of gurus out there and a lot of people that preach like, hey, give me 40 or 50 grand and you can come to my 3-day seminar and you'll learn everything, which just unfortunately is not the case. You spend all that money and you don't learn anything in 3 days. You just can't learn anything in 3 days that's worth 50 grand. Now, meanwhile, you learned an actual skill by buying a $14 book. And that's something that we do preach, is that there's a few books that we recommend, and Flip is absolutely one of them. It's always going to be at the top of my list because it actually changed my life.
Hey, Todd,
so it's cool to see. Yeah.
I was just, I've been kind of keeping a tally over the last, 6 months of how much money people have spent that I know on our page for a guru course. And man, it's over $1 million that people have spent on a guru course for a 3-day seminar. And my follow-up question is, how much money did you make by going to that 3-day seminar? You spent 50 grand. How much money did you make? $1,000. What?
Not really the return you're looking for, yeah.
No. So, man, maybe we should get into the guru business, man. And
I was about to say, we might be looking at the wrong end of this, yeah.
Yeah.
No,
it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah, so we also do talk about that there are things that you can put money into that people might consider guru, but may not be because they're a little more hands-on and they'll teach you like throughout the year. So that's different. That's actual coaching. That's different than guru. Guru is like 2-day seminar, you know everything and you never have to worry again.
Bring your credit card.
and bring your credit card. And it's funny that that you mentioned it was either going to be stocks or real estate. And before I got into real estate, I was actually a full-time day trader. So we're on the same page there as well. So what is it that in your mind, because you said it took 6 months to get your first deal. So what is it in your mind that kept you going? What is your, we always like to ask, what is your why? What keeps you driven and going forward, and as opposed to maybe giving up, whether it's, your girlfriend's nagging you to say, stop being a pussy and keep going through it and don't quit. I remember that story. That's why I'm saying it now. And so it could be the people around you helped you. What kept you going during that first deal?
Man, what kept me going, man, was just, like my family. I felt like I had an obligation. And it really kind of goes back. I don't want to hit y'all with a sob story, but back in Virginia, when we used to live in Virginia, we were actually doing really well. My mom had built up a chain retail of a bunch of boutiques in the mall, and we basically had an empire. Long story short, my father had left us around Christmas time. My mom's brother was a partner in the business. He kind of went downhill with the drugs, and we just, she said it's time for a fresh start. And, I said, I'm never going to be in that position again. I just said, you know what, I'm going to get back my family's wealth no matter what it takes. I'm going to make sure my family's good to go. I'm going to make sure I put the team on my back, and I'm going to make sure that I bring us back up to where we used to be. So that was my, initial thought, man. And I had people nagging me at the dealership. There was a guy there. He was an old guy. And I remember him saying, hey, what are you doing? I see you always doing a side hustle. You're not that focused anymore. And I told him what I was doing. He was like, yeah, man, you don't own a house. You don't even live in a house. I was like 20 at the time. You're only 20 years old. How are you can't flip houses. You can't do that. And I was like, all right, watch me, bro.
Do that.
Do that. So,
this is key, man. What you're talking about doing is changing your family's legacy. And that idea and that concept, I mean, dude, it changes everything. It changes everything. So we talk a lot about on our groups, what do you want your legacy to be? I mean, what you were saying about your family and your mom, and you took that step and you stepped up. Dude, that's going to change not only your life, but your kids and your kids' life. I mean, you can really change a whole legacy of your family by doing that, man. And you're taking that step, and that's freaking killer.
I appreciate it, man.
It really is. It's something that it actually leads into what I was going to say next, or ask you next, was you've clearly adopted a no excuse mindset. So not even on the side of business, not even the side of real estate or selling cars or anything like that. How has that changed your life by just changing your mindset? Because we preach mindset a ton. That first basis of no matter, we don't really care what you're doing. If you're into real estate, that's awesome. We love real estate. Let's talk. If you like mall boutiques, it doesn't matter. If you have some sort of passion, it has to start with a mindset in our belief. So how has that mindset changed your life in a sense of your relationships, your positivity, your outgoingness? Tell me about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's brought me to like a new level of mindset, man. Like I can see through projects now. Like I can finish the project because I know I made a decision 6 months ago. I said, all right, so I'm gonna commit full into real estate. I'm gonna just dive in. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm gonna just make sure I'm gonna do it, and I'm just not gonna quit. Because I was just like, I was looking at things. I was like, man, you know what? I don't want to start this project. And when I'm like 30, and honestly, man, what kept me going was seeing a whole bunch of 60-year-old, 70-year-old dudes still on the floor selling cars.
Yeah,
that scared me. So that was like, okay, I don't want to be there. So let me just grind. Let me just keep going, no matter how hard it is. In my relationships, it's been awesome. I mean, my girl's been patting me on the back, like, hey, I see you coming up. I see you making progress. I'm proud of you. She's been down for the team, bro. I mean,
that's awesome.
Like before I ordered pre-printed signs, bro, like she was handwriting them for me. She wouldn't even let me write them because my handwriting's shitty. Don't get me wrong, but she was writing them for me. And when I had her support, and when I had the support of my mom, I was like, okay, if I quit, like you said, I'm basically gonna be a pussy. I'm basically gonna be a bitch. I mean, I can't
quit.
Like, I just can't quit. I mean, if you make that commitment to yourself that you can't quit or you won't quit, you're bound to find success. I mean, that's just like a linear path. That's an easy one right there. If you don't quit, you're gonna find success.
And I got a follow-up question really quick for you. I don't know about you, but when I started and when I made that shift, I lost a bunch of friends. Have you experienced that and kind of your mindset and your hustle shift at all, or?
I mean, kind of, sort of, man. In high school, I was always that weird kid. I was always in the bathroom a lot, like, selling laptops and electronics. So, everybody respected me because they always knew that I was on the grind.
Yeah.
As far as friends, I kind of actually like gain more respect and gain more friends. Cool. I don't know. I didn't experience too much loss. But I will tell you, there were some guys in my group that weren't really chilling, they were chilling a little bit too much. I found myself not hanging out with them as much because they're kind of in the same spot doing, still smoking weed and still working at like Burger King and stuff, which I have no problem with. I'm still going to talk to you, but I ain't trying to be there.
Right.
So, I've kind of cut them off myself.
Yeah.
As opposed
I actually, Jordan, we never talked about this, actually. That was a really good question. I lost no less than 100 friends when I started to go out on my own. No less than 100. And I say that with all sincerity. My group that I was a part of was 100% cars, and they were going to have 9 to 5, and that was going to be it. To pay for whatever car that they had at that time. And one of the motivations that I had for getting going was I had a Z06 Corvette at the time. But I've always been an exotic car guy. So whenever I was at my 9 to 5, I was like, well, I'm never going to buy a Lamborghini with this income. So I better do something else to create that freedom and be able to pay for what I want in the end. Looks like we lost Jordan.
Oh yeah, I see his face.
He's been freezing up a little bit, so hopefully he should be back. But
you said he's.
You keep going back. Something I find interesting is that you've mentioned your mom a couple times. So is your mom the original source of that determination and that kind of rock? Because that's kind of what I'm hearing is that she. So your dad leaves. And she's got, these stores, so she's an entrepreneur in herself. So you can kind of learn from her and how. I can get Jordan back in here real quick. There we go. So you can kind of learn from her and see how she adapts to situations and how she's just kind of that that rock and that support at all times. So you saw her be strong. So is that kind of how you learned to be strong in the beginning?
And yeah, it really is, man, because my mom, she came up from the grind. She didn't go to college. She came here from the Philippines. It was just her and her brother. They didn't know nobody. They was like straight farming, fresh off the boat, Asians, couldn't speak a lick of English, and just to see her come up, because at that time, I believe we had a net worth of almost $1 million when we were in Virginia. And just to see her come up like that, it's just like, man, you know what? If she can do it, I can do it, And man, if you see my mom, just her grind, just her determination, the way she works, the way she has a passion, it's just like, man, like, yeah, I got to live up to the legacy. Like, I got to fulfill the destiny, or else I just won't feel like I'm doing my family any good,
Yeah, it's absolutely contagious.
Welcome back, man.
Serial killer's back.
What up?
I love the big hair, by the way, the big hairdo.
It's really difficult to get the back of it, man.
I cut my own hair. I believe you. I don't actually shave it, obviously, like that. But
I'm
just hoping to have some, like, in the next 5-10 years.
Dude, just
wear hats everywhere I go.
Just
But Jordan, we were just talking about how his mom was basically the mentor in the beginning, and how she showed him how to be a rock and how he said that he wanted to uphold that legacy. Essentially, everything else is down, but she stayed up. So that's a hell of a way to learn, hell of a person to learn from, which is awesome. Yeah. But let's get into a little more real estate specific. Let's talk about your first deal. Let's talk about the struggles with the first deal, and if you don't mind, profit margin, anything, buy, sell, anything like that. Totally up to you if you want to disclose prices. If not, I totally understand.
No, that's fine. Man, first deal. Okay, so it was crazy, man. It actually was a roller coaster, because I started out with maybe it was 2 or 3 of us. We still kind of worked together on projects. But I was actually doing a lot of mail. That was actually my very first marketing piece. And I really don't know what it is, but here in Dallas, mail has just a shitty response rate. It really does. I mean, I've talked to
probably a lot of people doing it.
Exactly, because here in the Dallas Metroplex is about 7 million deep. So everybody and their mom is sending everybody a mail piece or whatever. So I was doing that for 3 months. I didn't get anything. I was just like, I was like, babe, I don't know if I should quit this. And she was like, just try it a couple more times and see what happens. I was like, okay, F this. It's costing too much money. Let's try this bandit sign thing. I went back to the book. I was like, man, bandit signs, okay, whatever. Let's try it. And I tell you, man, bandit signs have forever changed my business, because that's all I do is straight bandit signs. I don't do nothing else but bandit signs.
So it's funny. So real quick, let me poke in real quick. So everybody in your area is doing mailers, but let me guess, nobody else is doing bandit signs. You're the only bandit sign out there?
You'll see them, but they're not consistent.
Okay, so Ohio is exactly the opposite. There's a million bandit signs everywhere in Ohio. I don't do bandit signs, but very few people do mailers. So I get a 12 to 15% return on mailers, which is insane.
Hey, Todd, real quick.
Yeah.
Can one of you guys explain kind of what you mean when you say mailer and what you mean when you say bandit signs? Some people are going to jump on here and have kind of no idea what we're talking about. So
it's probably a good point. Prince, go ahead.
Okay, so since I'm doing good with bandit signs, so basically what the bandit sign is, man, is basically a cardboard thing, and you put some stakes on it, and you just write, I buy houses, we buy houses, whoever buys houses, your mom buys houses, and you just stick them in high traffic places. I'm serious. You'll be surprised what I've seen out there. You stick them in high traffic places, stop signs, stop lights, bridge overpass things, and you just wait for calls, really.
On and off ramps.
Yeah, off ramp. Yeah, you just wait for calls, and that's really the gist.
And when we talk,
what's a direct mailer?
Yeah, when we talk about direct mailer, what we mean is actually a piece of mail that you send directly to a possible seller or somebody that owns a property or whatever criteria that you're looking for. So in my case, I send handwritten in red ink on yellow lined paper, invitation style envelope, just says, hey, my name's so-and-so. I want to buy your house at so-and-so location. I list a couple pain points like need cash, vacant house, and it says call or text Todd, my phone number, to hear how I can make you a fair cash offer. So I just have a real quick letter like that just takes a couple seconds to read, and I get anywhere from a 12 to 15% return on a piece of mail like that. Bandit signs, like I said, I don't do. I mean, I've done bandit signs before. I have bandit signs, but I don't do them anymore because they don't do the return that my mailers do or other pieces of advertising that I personally do.
Right.
So let's talk. So first, let's go back to the first deal. So you find it off a bandit sign then? You ended up getting off a bandit sign? Okay, go ahead.
Everything is off a bandit sign. So it was, it was just really weird, man. So I placed the bandit sign, and I got the call from an area that I know that I placed the bandit signs like 4 weeks ago, and it's this kid, and his name is like, hey, my name, I'll never forget this. My name is Braxton. I'm trying to sell my house. He's like 18 years old. I'm like, all right, okay. So, come to find out, it was an inherited home, and he was like, bro, like this was like the most motivated situation ever that I've seen. This fool was living at his ex-girl's mom's house, chilling on the couch.
That's bad.
Yeah, I know. And
that's motivated.
That's super motivated. And the ex-girl's mom was like calling me the next day. She was like, hey, listen, you need to buy this house so I can get him off the couch and out of my house. Because her daughter wasn't even dating this guy anymore. Whoa. So I was just like, yeah. I was like, okay. And I asked him, I was like, hey, man, so just a quick question. What are you going to do with the money? I'm just curious. Oh, I'm going to buy a truck. I was like, okay.
Like, truck, yeah. It's got a bed. Hey, the truck's got a bed. Hey.
Exactly. The truck's got a bed. So, it was way out there in the country, in a place called Midlothian, Texas. And, I went out there with a bunch of friends. I went out there with my girl, and we saw it. And, I went to their house and to the suburbs, and I said, hey, and this is when I didn't have comps. I didn't really know how to use Zillow, Redfin, Realtor.com, or any of those things. I said, hey, look, I can pay you $20,000 for the house. And they took it. They accepted the deal. Yep. And, I went on to flip it for $40,000, which netted me about $20,000. Fuck. But in all honesty, I did not know, man, the ARV of that house was $120,000. Oh. $120,000. I got it for $20,000. And the guy that I flipped it to, I said, so what'd you do to the house? He's like, oh, I put it back on MLS for $75,000, sold it as is. Did not need an ounce of work. Yeah. I was like, fuck.
But what's important is you took the action. So even without having everything worked out, you still went and did it, still made $20,000 on it. Yeah, your end buyer made another 30, but you don't compare yourself to that because knowing what you know now, you're able to run the comps and you're able to go, okay, I'll sell it for 70 instead of 20 or 40 or whatever it may be. But you were able to solve that problem for somebody. So you for a problem and you found a solution.
Yeah. We're calling that. I've been calling that a wholesale deal. Is that what you guys are calling it? That'd be wholesale directly to MLS and retail.
Exactly.
So I actually have a little different definition of wholesale. See, to me, since he took possession of it, I do see how you can consider that a wholesale. Wholesale, to my knowledge, the way that we consider it, or the way that I've always considered it, is if say Prince has a house for $20,000 and I buy it off him for 20, it's just like the same situation, and I fix like one major problem, and I fix that one problem, and then double my money. Like that would be a wholesale, like the way that I learned it.
Yeah,
but I could absolutely see how you could say. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Exactly. So I could absolutely see.
Cool.
How you could consider that either way, but that worked out for everybody. That's great. That's awesome, man. Yeah. So that's your first deal, and then after that, they just started rolling in, right? Or there was a little bit of a struggle period.
Man, I hate to admit it, but there actually was a struggle period.
That was actually when we talked.
Yeah, like bro, like I was going through a drop. Like I had no deals coming in, and I was wondering why. And after the coaching call with Nick, he did say, hey, man, yeah, you got to turn up the marketing. Like, you got to go in. Like, you got to hit this. And my definition of going in was like, all right, I'm going to do minimal. I'm going to just place 5 bad signs every week, which didn't net me any results. It's very different from what it is today. And, I was contacting everybody. I was just like, yo, what are you doing? What are you doing? How do you get leads? What are you doing? Hit me up. Let me know what's up. And you know, and it wasn't till here in Dallas, I have a group that we hold like quarterly meetings with. It's called the Empire Group. It's just basically a bunch of guys like me, and we get together. We talk about real estate. It's kind of like what you guys are doing. And you know, I remember the meeting was at my house, and I remember I was like, man, I'm not going to be in this position. I want the results. You know, like I want to see everything. I want to see the floodlights. So after, like, from that day on, man, I started dropping like 100 banner signs every Friday, and ever since then, everything's been gravy. I have no problems. So,
how many deals have you done in the past 3 months?
I don't know. I think like 6, maybe 7.
6 or 7. That's awesome. Yeah. So that's okay. That's where you're at multiple deals a month now, and you're ready to scale. Yeah. And let's and again, for anybody new just watching, we have a group called the Kingdom Real Estate. And to be a part of it, to be a part of our community, you have to have the right mindset. We'd love to see you apply. Go to thekingdomrealestate.com. And this is Prince that we're speaking with right now. The other incredibly good-looking gentleman with the beard is Jordan.
Yeah.
And now we're going to get into a little bit because Prince has posted a couple of videos recently of his most recent deal, which is actually a fix and flip. But it was unique in the sense I don't think you bought it outright. I don't think you paid cash for the house. I think you took over payments, put some money into it, and then sold it on top, which is not only creative but incredibly profitable. So let's talk about that. Tell me how you found the deal, everything.
Yeah. So it was really weird on that one because I actually work with my girl's brother on dropping bandit signs. So he helps me drop bandit signs, and it was in a city in Dallas that I was just like, bro, there ain't nothing here. But he was like, yeah, I want to experiment anyways. I want to drop something that, you know. So
nothing like, there as in high-end area or low-end area?
I mean, I just didn't think there was any action. You know, yeah, I just didn't think.
Okay.
There's nothing there.
Yeah, exactly. I was just like, man, it's just some town. And he was just like, man, let's just drop. You never know. So I was like, all right, cool. So he drops. The next day, I get a heat call of some city official guy saying you can't drop your bandit signs here, blah blah blah. And then I'm bitching out, complaining. I'm like, man, that city doesn't work. Yeah, exactly. I'm like, forget this city. Let's leave. I'm never coming back. The next day, I got a call. This guy, man, this guy was crazy. Hispanic cat. This guy was like, hey, you know, I went through a divorce. If I miss 1 or 2 payments, the bank is going to foreclose my house. And then number 3, he was like, hey, listen, man. He was like, listen, man, I already moved out the house. I'm already in my new apartment. The house is yours. Please buy it off of me. And I was like, damn, just like that? He was like, yeah, I already cleaned it up. I already painted a few walls. I already got a carpet guy in there. I got everything out. Just go in there, check it out, and please take it off my hands. And that was it. And so I was like, okay, you know, that's fine. So anyways, on that deal, I didn't exactly want to use hard money on it. I'm not a super expert on hard money. There was a deal that I was working that I talked to Nick about it. It was like with a hard money loan, but it was really confusing. So I didn't want to go that route. So basically all I did was I just called his bank, which is Wells Fargo. I said, hey, man, you know, my name is Prince. I'm interested in purchasing this house. Can I just take over the mortgage payments? And they were like, sure, as long as we're still getting the mortgage payment on a monthly basis. We really don't care. And I was kind of creeped out because I thought they were going to call what you call, I guess, a due on sale clause or an alienation clause, but they didn't. And you know, they were just like, okay, take over the payments, but we need our monthly mortgage every month. I was like, okay, done deal. So you know, good.
So guys, for people that have no idea what that's called, can one of you guys kind of explain the terminology? Like that's called a what?
Subject.
Subject. Yeah. So
bitchin' way to go, man.
Yeah. So real quick on that, I'll explain that really quick. So a deal in which an offer or a deal is contingent upon the original mortgage staying in place. So it's subject to the mortgage staying in place, same price, monthly payments, everything. Yep. So in this situation, you know, maybe the house, you know, maybe you're looking for a rental, and you know, maybe the mortgage is $400 and the rental rate in the area is $950. So it would make sense to take over that mortgage for $400 and then rent it out for $950. So that's what a subject to would be. It's subject to the original mortgage staying in place. It doesn't always work out, but to be honest with you, it's crazy how much banks don't care as long as they're going to get their monthly payment. So when it comes to actually getting approved for it,
Prince, they didn't run your credit. They didn't have you fill out an application. They didn't have you fill out an income and all that stuff, did they? They just let you do it.
They really didn't, man. Their main concern was just getting paid, because the owner was already talking to the bank about, hey, I'm in this shaky situation anyways. So they were like, okay, well, what are you going to do?
You solved a problem for so many people there that many people don't realize. You solved a problem for the seller. You solved a problem for the seller's wife that was divorced, by the way. You solved a problem for your seller your buyer that bought the house off you after rehab. So now they have clean, affordable living at whatever price point that fits for them. You solved the problem for the bank. I mean, you're a superstar. Fucking superstar, man.
Yeah, I just trying to get to the money like everybody else, man.
But yeah, so we'll stop interrupting you. You can dive back in, and so you take it over. It's subject to.
Yeah. So, anyways, we go to closing on the property, and I'll be honest, I had it because I'm working with another investor here in Dallas. I met like 4 years ago. And I've linked up with him a whole bunch, and he's helped me a whole bunch and mentored me, took my hand and kind of guided me through. And he actually helped me on that deal. We ended up putting it on MLS for like a week, or no, maybe like 2 weeks. We got a ton of walkthroughs. We thought it was going to sell because it really didn't need that much work. But on the first video, if y'all saw it, like one wall was painted orange, like one wall was like blue, and the carpet was kind of like and we didn't get really any offers on it, but we had a lot of traffic come through. So I was just like, okay, he was like, hey, look, man, we're going to have to put some work into it. I was like, okay, I'm excited because I'm like, man, I get to watch the whole thing. I'm like, man, okay, I get to see the carpet and the paint and the roof and all that stuff. So it's crazy because I actually wasn't there for the whole entire process, but we redid the carpet, painted the walls, stripped down parts of the roof. Just kind of filled in some cracks here and there. And that second video, when I went to see the house last week, because we pulled it off the MLS, when I went to go see the house last week, man, it looked like a whole completely different house. Mm-hmm. And I was on Snapchat and I was like videoing it, and my girl was like, hey, let's buy that house. I was like, no, sir. I need to get money out the house, and then we'll go buy another one. And, just yesterday, we got a contract on it, and, it was an all cash offer too. So we don't have to wait, because Texas made this new thing that if you buy a house retail, you got to wait like 45 days more. So this thing can probably realistically close in 3 weeks or less. So, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
That's fantastic. And all off again, this is you actually did something else that we also preach that we haven't talked about much, which is find somebody who's doing it and mimic them or work with them or for them. And that is actually something that you did. You said you met him 4 years ago, and you ended up working with him on this one, and you're able to. I mean, how much did you learn on that deal? I mean, your first fix and flip. I mean, how much did you learn? Now you know what you could possibly do in the future with anything else.
It was so much because me and my mentor, we'll talk on the phone for like hours. I'm always talking to him. I met him yesterday, and just the connections, just the networking, just the seeing of what a house can look like before and after, seeing what you can do in this situation. Hey, if this happens and you might be able to do this. But the only reason why we were able to do a subject to was because it didn't need that much repair. But he was thinking that if it did need a lot of repair, then we might have to land it. But I mean, I learned so much on that deal, and then I'm coming out of it, I'm like, wow, like, because I have it on my like dream board thingy, like right in front of this computer, says do a fix and flip this year, and I'm like, wow, that's let's check, like that happens so fast. So
that's incredible. So go back to the dream board real quick. How many things you have on there? I'm interested in this.
Man, I got everything, man. I got what I want to accomplish. So I got my yearly goals, which is buy a house for me and my family. So actually, that's where the money is going to after this. But except for I'm investing in a duplex so I can get my cash flow.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Let Jordan chime in on that one for a minute. Yeah.
Go ahead, man. Were you going to say something, Jordan?
Cash flow.
Oh, no,
cash flow.
He just he hears the word cash flow and he just
I'm awake. I'm awake now.
Yeah. Basically, I have on there, like hit the gym 3 times a week. It's personal stuff. Wake up every morning at 5:30, which I've done consecutively. I've gotten so much more done ever since I started waking up earlier. Just personal stuff like that. 6 months goals. Lose a bit of fat here and there. I'm trying to get a 6-pack, so.
How's that
I'm losing some fat, man. I'm still small, but the thing is, like, it's not going nowhere.
Shit's hard.
It actually is harder than I thought. I'm making progress. So.
That's awesome. So, what are some of your future goals within real estate? Do you want to keep flipping houses? Do you want to start hanging on to them for Jordan? Hold on to yourself, cash flow. What are your goals? Do you want to keep wholesaling? What do you want to do?
Yeah, so actually the plan is I actually got the plan like scribbled out, like I can memorize it. So the plan is this first duplex by the end of this year. And my mentor said he was going to help me with financing, getting approved and all that, so I'm not worried about that. And then by maybe it depends on how hard I hustle, buy another duplex and do the same thing until I have 4 duplexes. Now, by the time I have all these 4 duplexes, my hopes are that the duplexes have appreciated enough in value to where I can take out an equity loan on them and then dump it into an apartment complex. That's all I got right now.
How do you feel about that, Jordan? there was a word in there that I know you didn't like. I want to talk about that. There was a word in there, and that word was hope. Hope is not a plan. Hope is not a strategy. So, Jordan, you want to go into that a little bit?
Yeah, Prince. My only thing I would tweak there, dude, if I was you, was don't limit yourself to duplexes. Buying a duplex and buying a 10plex, same amount of work. Financing them is like pretty much just as easy. So just don't limit yourself to a duplex, man. You might be able to accomplish all of what you're trying to do in one deal.
Really?
Next week. I mean, you could find the deal next week. So as far as like the doing that a couple different times and doing equity, absolutely. It's a really good way to go, and a lot of people do it. They pull out a HELOC, home equity line of credit. It's basically a second mortgage. What you just got to make sure when you're doing that stuff that you really know what your numbers are, and you really know what your cash flow is, because when you take out a second line, right, you got to pay for it.
Yeah.
So what I've seen a lot of people, they do that and they get 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 grand, but they completely kill their cash flow on that building to go buy another building. Well, now they're exactly where they were a month ago. Right. So, dude, Prince, you're
he's killing me. Did he freeze on you too?
Yeah, he froze on me.
This guy. Montana.
You're a super smart guy.
I'm telling you.
What?
It's the cow. It's the cows. Yeah, he's out in Montana. Can you hear us, Jordan?
Yeah.
All right, there we go. Now you're unfrozen. Keep going with what you were saying.
Where was
Last thing we heard was the home equity line.
Yeah, that's all I heard. Yeah. Second mortgage or something.
Yeah, the last thing we heard was if you go buy a building and now you're back to where you were.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just make sure you know your numbers on it. You don't want to.
My computer does not like
it.
I'll be back.
Now we can see the Coors Light can now. Yeah.
Yeah, I've got full Wi-Fi. I don't know why I'm freaking out over here.
Who are you with? You with AT&T?
Well, I'm on
He's like, what's that?
I'm on my desk. I'm on my desktop actually.
Huh.
Who's your web provider?
I don't know, dude.
Well, that's why.
That's awesome.
One more time.
Yeah. So
one more time.
But go ahead, Jordan.
What I was trying to say is just make sure when you're taking out that second line that it doesn't kill your cash flow on the first deal, because now you're back to square one, and you gained $500 in cash flow in the first deal, then you lost it on the second deal because you had to pay for that second line. So just make sure you really know your numbers, and you're super.
Dang.
I assume he's frozen for you again.
Yeah, same thing.
All right.
Well, who do you have? For
Smart guy, and you can figure.
Time Warner.
Oh, Time Warner.
Yeah, it's horrible. He's sitting back now. He's clearly frustrated. All right. So,
Definitely does not like him today.
but yeah. What I've actually been doing recently, so I've been closing on houses with my own capital, and then I've been selling them owner finance. So my most recent deal, I actually bought a house for $2,500.
I saw that one,
which is amazing. You know, not every market has that, obviously, but you can do it in any market, not that price point. That and I've been selling it on owner finance. So this deal should be closing. I was hoping to close on it this week. I'll probably close on it next week. And then I plan on selling the house for anywhere from $30,000 to $35,000. You know, with at least the amount of money that I paid for the house down, if not double or triple that, and then take $500 or $600 a month away from it for the next 4, 5, 6 years. Depending how we set it up. What's that?
I said, was it like a hood shack type of area place?
It's really not. It's really not. It's like a quiet little street. It's technically in the city, but so like there's the southeast side and there's the northwest side. Now, if you're on the northwest side, you're good. If you're on the southeast side, you're officially in the hood. And this is on the northwest side. It's just the house needed the certain amount of work that the people couldn't pay for, and they were in a certain situation where the family was in distress and they needed to move, and I was able to come in and pay for it. And now they've already moved out of the house. Everything, they're happy. We just got to close on it now, and then I'll either put a couple bucks into it and then resell it on owner finance, or keep it as a rental, one of the two. But I'll probably sell it on owner finance just to keep the cash flow and get rid of the responsibility on it.
Man, that's what I need to learn. Did you say you was in Akron, Ohio?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that close to Toledo at all?
It's like 2 hours from Toledo. Akron is directly in between Canton and Cleveland. So Cleveland is on the northeast side, and 30 minutes south of Cleveland is Akron, and then 30 minutes south of Akron is Canton. So I have 3 major cities that I can go get heavily discounted properties at, and then I can go right outside to the suburbs 20 minutes away and work on $1 million house. It's amazing, the range in Northeast Ohio. It's insane.
Ooh, were you defending the land when it was the final game, Warriors versus Cavs, I guess?
So I am actually a San Antonio Spurs fan.
That's what's up, man.
I am a diehard Spurs fan, so I really wanted to see the Spurs win it again this year. But it was cool to see Cleveland win it, and the city was insane. It was cool to be a part of that. So that was pretty cool. I'd like to see the Tribe win it this year. Now I'm a diehard Pirates fan. I'm of no fans of hometown teams, ironically enough, but that was cool to see.
Yeah.
So in the near future, you got plans for duplex, multi-unit, live in one, have the cash flow pay for your mortgage and or financing, and then you're going to go from there. And then you just want to keep adding units, or do you want to keep doing fix and flips and wholesales, or you kind of want to move on from that?
You know, it's ironic, man, because the game's actually changed. Because I know that I don't know if you preach against it, but I know Nick does heavily. I did get my real estate license, so the game. I know. I remember you told me you.
I don't preach against it at all. I got rid of mine in the beginning because I wasn't using it. Now another guy in our group, his name's Tyler. He is a licensed realtor in Florida, but he's also an investor first, and he does a wonderful job of splitting the two and using them together. And that would be you can absolutely use it to your advantage. So I don't think it's a bad thing at all that you have your license. I think Nick has to preach that, because most people, that would stop them. If he recommended to get their license, they would stop and never do a deal. That's why.
It is hard, man, and it's expensive too.
Yeah. Yep. Jordan, what do you think? Anything else you want to add?
I'm over it.
I don't blame you. Little struggles.
No, we're coming up on an hour. You know, I want to be respectful of everyone's time. So let me just say this in closing. For everybody that's going to watch this in the future and on our page, the only reason why Prince was successful was because he took massive action. You know, he's not smarter than everybody else on here. He's not better looking than everybody else on here. He had an idea. He found a mentor. He took massive action. And even when shit got really hard, he kept on pushing through. And that was the difference between $1,000 and a $20,000 deal that he did. So in closing, I mean, guys, learn a lot from watching this. Learn that the only difference is action. That's what I got.
I totally agree. And Prince, if people want to locate you, ask you questions, follow up with you, where can we find you? What do you have going on the side?
And I'm working on my website. It's going to be princeejpatridge.com. I'm trying to work on all my social media what's it called? Properties, and trying to bring them together. But princeejpatridge.com is pretty much my website. You can find me on Facebook. I posted a couple things on is it the real estate investors? The real estate investors is what the group called?
That's one group right now. We'll post your stuff, or we'll get your stuff up on the Kingdom as well.
Cool, man. Yeah. That's pretty much it. I don't really. Oh, Snapchat. Prince _PARR. That's my favorite thing in the world, and y'all should get it. If you don't have it, then so
cool. Well, we appreciate you being on.
Yeah, man.
I definitely learned a lot. It was cool. It was cool catching up with you. It's nice to seeing you doing deals after I know the first time we spoke, you were struggling a little bit. So it's definitely cool to see you doing 4, 5, 6 in the past couple months and seeing you scale and do different things and have new goals. So that's awesome. Love the action. Love the attitude. Keep working on it, man.
Appreciate it, man.
Sure.
Appreciate y'all on. Honestly, it was a great experience.
Awesome. Well, guys, I appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in. We'll have another one here soon. We have these usually weekly, if not a couple times a week. So if you guys have any questions, obviously reach out to myself, Jordan. And if you have any questions about fix and flips or subject to, sounds like you can talk to Prince as well, since he's got some experience with it. So thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time.
All right, y'all.
Peace.
Peace.